Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. Especially because the way that we feel about our church compared to others is that it's all about crowd size. So it's really important to see so many of you here. I am Rob Peck. I'll be your service host and fellow attempting to make sense of the world person. I am wanting to just take a moment for us to arrive. It's easy to say that I'm here. It's not as easy to really be fully present. And so take just this moment to have a couple deep breaths, look at the beautiful stained glass, whatever it is that can make you feel that you're really fully here. So, if by any chance this is your first time with us, we warmly welcome you to sign the guest book in the back. And I'd like to take just a moment for everybody to just kind of look around and greet the people who are near you. Hugs are fine. Just looking at people's eyes is fine. But some way in which we take a moment to recognize each other and be glad that we're together. So, it's a great joy to have a good friend and one of the human beings who walks his talk be with us and doing double duty. Jim Levinson will be both leading some of the service and sharing a sermon, as well as our musician. And in that latter role, Jim, I would be grateful if you would be our passport to the prelude and play something that we all can just really give our full attention to. It's one of the, maybe our greatest single underdeveloped natural resource, to be willing to actually give something our full undivided attention. I didn't think ahead of time because I'm not very organized in general, but I'll need somebody to light this chalice, and I'm wondering if Tamala, if you would be willing to do that? Thank you. I think there is. So we light this chalice for the light of truth. May its flame be burning in a way, especially now, that cuts through the misinformation and disinformation. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, faced with so much division and polarization. May its warmth pull us together and remind us of our common bonds. We light this chalice for the energy of action, to not feel hopeless, to feel like we have agency, and even if it's in the most minute way, our voice matters. We light this chalice for the harmony of music and the universal harmony of peace, which we so deeply seek in places like the Middle East and Sudan and Ukraine and other war-torn countries. May this flame spread its light and its warmth. I want to share something that I heard when we had our little gathering at the Rowe Conference Center. It fits in with the UU bumper sticker I have always wished to print, which says that there are some questions which just cannot be answered, but there are no answers that cannot be questioned. We have not answered all of our spiritual questions, nor have we solved all of our earthly problems, but we are confident that we are confused on a higher level and about more important things. And on that note, Jim, if you would share some introductory words, and Kol Nidre.
Thanks so much, Rob. First, let me say how touched I was that the worship committee asked for another Yom Kippur service this year. I hope that this annual cleansing of our souls is helpful to us, whether or not we're Junitarians. Here's something interesting. The Talmud tells us that when Moses received the Torah on Mount Sinai, he also received holy music. Melodies referred to as Bis Sinai, or from Sinai. The melody of the Kol Nidre prayer, the holiest prayer of Yom Kippur, is, we are told, Bis Sinai. Let us rise as we are able. Kol nidre v'esarei v'charame וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבות דין דרנה ודשתבנה ודאחרימנה ודיאסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה כולהון איחרתנה והון כולהון יהון שרן שוויקין שוויתין בטלין ומבוטלין לא שרירין ולא קיימין נדרנה לא נדרה ויסרנה לא אסרה lo esre. Time for a hymn.
He goes, doing double duty. Quick interlude. I first met Jim at another All Souls Church in Brattleboro. At the time, I was struggling with a dysfunctional marriage that I'd stayed in for 18 years because I made a vow. And I said sickness and in health, and I meant it. And I felt that I couldn't be in integrity if I didn't stick it out. But it was making me pretty miserable. And Jim spoke about an aspect of Kol Nidre, perhaps you will again today, but the part that really hit me in the heart was that if you really have tried your best, honestly, to keep a vow or a commitment, and it's really not serving you, then God will be understanding, and whatever higher power you believe in will understand and forgive you and wants you to choose what is actually going to be for your own best health. So I'm forever grateful for my divorce.
Hymn number 219.
Lord of peace, lead us from strife. One of the best ways that I don't experience strife is to feel a sense of common ground. And I'm hopeful that the words in our covenant remind us of our common ground and the ties that bind us. So I'll read this very first underlined sentence, and then I warmly welcome and hope all of you with gusto will read the other 9 elements in our covenant. In this house, in this beautiful sanctuary, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of the oppressed, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery, from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, and to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is.
As many of you know, a Jewish service, in a Sabbath service or a high holiday service, includes a reading from the Torah, first 5 books of Hebrew Scripture, and then a haftarah, which is from somewhere else in Hebrew Scriptures, usually from the prophets. And our haftarah for Yom Kippur is particularly poignant. Let's read it together. What
Is the fast our Lord wants? A day to starve our bodies? To lie in sackcloth and ashes? No. This is not the fast that our Lord wants. The fast our Lord desires is to unlock the fetters of wickedness, untie the cords of the yoke, share your bread with the hungry, take the poor into your home, clothe the naked. Then shall your light burst through the noonday sun, and the glory of the Lord shall be upon you.
Hymn number 89.
Come my way, my truth, my life. Gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Of my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes. Come, my joy, my love, my heart, as none can part such a heart as joys in love. So I have found 4 readers, and we're going to look at a big part of Yom Kippur is to face our shadows, to be willing to plumb our depths and honestly accept our flaws and find forgiveness. So that's what this next section is all about. And after each set of 4 questions, we'll all say, it's written right in your order of service, I'll say it and then let's just practice saying it all together. For all these, Lord of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. You all see that and got that? All right. So Robin, would you be our first reader, please?
So we ask our readers to come forward.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll hear you. Do you mind coming here so that we'll be able to hear you? Or Matt, is there a mic I can bring to people? Oh. It's Robin with the long Greek last name that I might mangle, so I'm just going to call her Robin.
Okay, so what do you want? For the sins we have committed before you and in our communities by being so preoccupied with ourselves that we are insulated from the loneliness and needs of people around us. And for the sins we have committed by being so directed toward outward realities that we have ignored our own spiritual development. For the sins of accepting the current distribution of wealth and power as unchangeable, and for the sins of being so powerless when we hear about oppression that we close our ears. For all these, Lord of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. For the sins of
contemporary sins for which we ask forgiveness. For the sins of dulling our outrage at the continuation of poverty, oppression, and violence in this world, and for the sins of not doing enough to challenge sexist institutions and practices. For the sins we have committed by allowing our food and our air to be poisoned, and for the sins of not doing enough to alleviate homelessness, poverty, and world hunger. For all these, Lord, for all these, Lord of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
For the sins of being jealous and manipulative in trying to control those whom we love, and for the sins we have committed by not publicly criticizing Israel or the Jewish people when they are acting in opposition to the highest principles of the Jewish tradition. For the sins of not recognizing the humanity and suffering of the Palestinian people and the injustice they face living under the unwanted occupation. And for the sins of being passive recipients of negativity while listening and allowing others to spread hurtful stories. For all these, Lord of forgiveness, pardon us. Forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
For the sins of allowing media indoctrination to convince us that others are motivated solely by money, power, or narrow self-interest. And for the sins of not recognizing that the deprivation of meaning and spirit is as painful as the deprivation of money or freedom. For the sins of accepting a world in which the bottom line is money and power, and not fighting for a new bottom line of love and caring. And for the sins of being cynical about the possibility of building a world based on love. For all these, Lord of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
And let us chant together the Avinu Malkeinu.
Malkeinu, Malkeinu, Leimanu Masim, Aseh Manus, Daka And you can probably see in your order of service that the part I mentioned so much meant and still means about releasing us from the many ways in which we're not perfect. Our parent, our God, grant us justice and loving kindness and bring us salvation. It won't really bring us salvation, but it'll definitely help our church keep the lights on and the heat in the building. If you could all please be as generous as you can when Russ comes down the aisle for the offering. And Jim, I think you've got Yigdal to play during the offering. Thank you, Jim. Bless you, Jim. And please sit back and enjoy some thoughtful words from a deeply conscientious character.
We usually think of Yom Kippur as an occasion to ask for, to seek atonement, to seek forgiveness. I wonder if this year we might take it a step further and also think of it as an opportunity to offer forgiveness, and to seek reconciliation with those from whom we have become estranged. What do you think? I think often of the story of Joseph in Hebrew Scriptures. Joseph, who was nearly killed by his jealous brothers, who ultimately sell him into slavery. Over the years, Joseph surely harbored bitterness and anger toward those brothers. And as he rose to power in Egypt, he may well have fantasized about the opportunity to take vengeance should his brothers someday show up in Egypt asking for favors. That day, as we remember, does arrive, and Joseph momentarily finds himself tasting such vengeance by placing a precious silver goblet in the grain sack of Benjamin, his youngest brother, and then accusing Benjamin of stealing it and threatening punishment. The brothers are devastated. Yet strangely, the long-anticipated vengeance now at hand does not provide Joseph with satisfaction, but instead leaves him with a bitter taste. Seeing his brothers at his mercy, Joseph realizes that his own wounds are not likely to be healed by hurting them further, and that the bonds of family continue to tug at him. Finally, breaking down in tears, Joseph reveals his identity, and the great reconciliation takes place. We hear stories all the time about public figures who are alienated from their children. They speak with assurance and self-confidence on so many issues, but they exude remorse and even helplessness when asked about their estranged children. Can there be any hurt more devastating than that of a parent left to mourn the living death of a relationship with a child? I would rather have been Joseph. But how to do it? How do we deal with the hurt and the anger and the misunderstandings and the unmended fences? Speaking personally, I have to acknowledge that I have in the past sometimes felt so indignant, so self-righteous, so proud that I have simply refused to forgive, refused to be the first to make a move. At other times in this throwaway, disposable culture of ours, I've been willing to get rid of a relationship which is no longer functioning properly. Easier to replace than to repair. I have sometimes sought to convince myself that I just don't need that person anymore. And in some cases, I justified my unwillingness to budge by saying, I've tried many times already, nothing is ever going to change. I hope that growing older, that I now know a little bit better. I think I understand that pride is the enemy of reconciliation. I think that however we understand the idea of God, God does not write people off. And I think I know another terrible truth, that feelings of great anger have the capacity to hurt the hater more than the hated, that they can become a curse in the life of a human being. Rabbi Samuel Stahl writes that anger metastasizes within us. It becomes a psychic cancer. Another sage speaks of that anger as a kind of sentence imposed on ourselves. When this happens, we have yielded our power to another. We have given another person control over our lives. We have permitted someone to rob us of our own well-being. But again, what can we do? Rabbi Charles Klein, in his important book, How to Forgive When You Can't Forget, offers a few valuable suggestions. The first has to do with expectations. In the real world, it's no secret. People bruise us all the time. The world has a lot of tough people and mean streets. And we have to steel ourselves as we venture out into these mean streets. Partly as a result, we expect loved ones to be different. We have greater expectations of them and greater needs, and they feel the same toward us. But they are human, and so are we. Inevitably, we disappoint. Inevitably, we fall short. And when we do, the responses, the hurt, the anger, the feelings of betrayal are magnified many times. So step one, we are told, is a pulling back of expectations, accepting our loved ones as they are, and then brushing off those shortcomings and mistakes and faults and hurts that they inflict as just not very significant, while focusing on instead on the commitments that unite us. Rabbi Klein's step number 2 is a process called reframing. Do some of you know what that is about? Those of you in the psychology, psychiatry communities know it well. After there has been enough misery and distress, some of us just might be willing to reconsider the image of the person who has wronged us. Into the new image, into the new frame, we might be able to let in some of what was good. And then with this newly framed portrait, the hurts and betrayals no longer overshadow these positive qualities. The ability to reframe, the ability to see shortcomings, wrongdoings, and imperfections from this wider angle perspective can be the difference between a relationship that is lost forever and one in which forgiveness is found. Sometimes, however, even when we get to the point of feeling ready to take that step toward forgiveness and reconciliation, we hold back for fear of being rejected. What if I'm rebuffed or ignored or rejected? The question then worth asking, the sages tell us, is whether the possibility of reconciliation, of putting an end to the distance, the loneliness, the pain, and the tears, is important enough to risk whatever reaction we may face. Joseph's father, Jacob, decided that it was. After betraying his brother Esau and escaping to his mother's family for many years, a period surely filled with family longing, Jacob decides it's worth the risk. And despite the very legitimate fear of revenge and reprisal, despite his own guilt, Jacob takes the step. And we remember what happens. The result, Esau runs to meet him and embraces him and kisses him, and they weep together. Now, do we dare go one step further and talk about what might be the most difficult reconciliation of all. What I'm speaking about is reconciliation with a departed loved one, with whom serious unresolved differences existed at the time of that person's death. I raise it now at our Yom Kippur service because there are some very important steps which we as individuals and we as families can take today and in the weeks and months ahead. Here's the approach recommended by that same Rabbi Klein. See what you think. It requires only a quiet room and a photo, a picture of the loved one that we have not been able to forgive and we've not been able to forget. At first, it's awkward trying to initiate a conversation with this loved one, but after a while, we simply begin talking, telling the other about our life, and then, as we touch on a connection, expressing the hurt and the pain, the rejections and the comparisons, the way we were taken for granted, the school plays and the Little League baseball games and the graduations missed, all of it, every bit of it, we pour it out. If it is our nature, we scream it out. We reach for the deepest places in ourselves where the most painful anguish is lodged. And we might tell our parent, all I ever wanted was your love. All I ever wanted was to be hugged and told I was special, and you were not there for me. And then we shed tears until there are no more tears to shed. And sometime later, we can give that parent or sibling a chance to reply. This may involve composing a letter from that person to us in which he or she is able to try, however inadequately, to speak about those actions or inactions which caused such pain. One such letter might read, well, let me restrain myself. We may be very surprised by what that person has to tell us and by the images which might in turn come to us. And then after the anger and the tears and the quiet, there is the hope. A hope worth endless riches, that our pain might be replaced by tenderness, and that we will be able to return to that photograph and say, goodbye, Daddy, I forgive you, I love you. Amen.
That's the second time I've purloined my order of service. Luckily, I'm in a forgiving mood. So we're going to sing hymn number 216, Hashivenu, and there's a translation, and it basically is saying, turn us back to you, O Lord, renew our days as before. And Jim, will you again sing it? Because I think it helps us to make sense of things. We'll pause.
Our dear friend understands it well. On Yom Kippur, we do fall to our knees and we prostrate ourselves in front of the Torah.
Some of the things that happen in our sanctuary are not in our order of service, but they are in our hearts and in our covenant to serve with compassion and commitment. So now, maybe even with more significance, let's do hymn number 216.
I'll sing it through once and then let's sing it together twice.
Hashivenu, Shivenu, Adonai Eleham, Ben Ashuva, Hadesh, Yamenu Kedem, Hashivenu, Adonai Eleham, Ben Ashuva, Ben Ashuva, Hadesh, Yamenu Kedem. Thank you, Jim. And thank you all for attempting to speak Hebrew. This is maybe my favorite part of our Sundays because it's so spontaneous and so different each Sunday, because no one week is the same when it comes to our personal joys, and the same can go for our personal sorrows. So at the risk of asking Kamala to do triple duty, would you be willing to take one of those candles and light candles? Thank you. I'm trying to make her the vice president. What can I say? So this is pretty common to most of you. If you haven't been here before, it'll be pretty obvious. But when you're ready, I'll bring a mic to you. And the only thing we ask is that you please try to be sensitive to both sharing things that are personal more so than political, and also to trying to honor the need to speak with brevity and keep your remarks short enough that we'll have time for all who want to make remarks. So, Owen, I'm going to trust you to model.
My name is Owen, and I want to express that it has been very important, and I'm very glad that I came here today, even though I really was just kind of dragging myself out here today. And, you know, part of it is my friend Rob here has just got such love, you know, pouring out of him every time I see him, and it makes me happy inside. And then the other piece is that Jim always brings such clarity and love to this congregation, and I'm grateful to you, not only for your thoughts and sermon, but also because I love the way you play the piano.
Let's not forget his singing. All right, who else would like to share?
This sermon gave me such pleasure because when I was working at the library on the Lower East Side, Houston and Avenue D, I met Marvin Mendel Grossman. And he was raised in a very Orthodox family. And his father had studied to be a rabbi. But he felt as though you should have always humility, and he thought to declare himself as a rabbi was being proud, which I thought was an interesting interpretation. Now, I had gone to Antioch College. I was there on a co-op job, and he would come into the library, and he assumed I was from the suburbs, and I was a Reformed Jew. And he invited me, and I learned folk dancing all the time at Antioch. We danced on Red Square. So I knew a lot of Israeli dances, etc. And so I went dancing with him. His mother was there to watch. She knew immediately. She took one look at me, and she knew I was a shiksa. And anyway, I received a letter from him, and he only had my address in Arlington County, Virginia. And my mother got this letter saying that he was dying, and he asked for forgiveness. And I called him up immediately, and I said, I totally forgive you, even though you got me hooked on smoking cigarettes. I even forgive that. I've given up smoking altogether now. And it was so nice to be able to do that. And it just gave me great joy.
Thank you, Karen. Anyone else have a joy or a concern? Okay, while you're all good, Matt, we got one on Zoom.
We do, and this is kind of an experiment because Gary would like to speak for himself, and so we're going to try to patch him in. We don't do this too often, so let's see if...
Gary is worth it.
Hey,
Hello,
Gary,
hello.
Can you try speaking and see if we can hear you?
Hello, hello. Can you hear
I
me?
do believe he was driving. Are you there with us, Gary?
I am. Can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Well,
guess
it does
not.
not sound like he's coming through, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's a noble attempt, and if he does somehow get back to us, we can. In the
You,
meantime,
chat and say thank you, try it.
okay, and Kamala, would you light a candle that starts out with concern and ends with joy? So last night in the dark, I
Say,
had to
I
move my bag of golf clubs, and one club, the
I
driver, the fitness
unmuted.
club, got stuck against the roof of the back seat. And doing my usual brilliant problem solving, I just pulled even harder. And it worked, except it worked in a way that the club snapped out
Put it in
and
there.
whacked me really hard in the head.
Okay.
And I reframed, and I thought, well, you know what, it's Yom Kippur, it's probably good that somebody hits me in the temple. And the joy is that shortly after this service, with any luck, my daughter Jazz and I will finally finish our packing. Ever since she was a tiny girl, maybe 3 years old, 4 years old,
Oh,
she's had a
well, yes.
dream to go
That
to
makes-
this
yes,
lush
yes.
tropical paradise. She came running in and she said, Mommy, Daddy, me want go to
Trying to catch
Hawaii.
the Zoom sound.
And we are going to fly to Hawaii. And I will not see you for 2 Sundays, but hopefully I will be in a very happy circumstance and certainly a candle of joy that we have a chance to go together. Anyone else like to
They
share?
used to do it. They have done it this time. And yeah, he used to show her.
Hi, I'm Robin. Yeah, I just wanted to share a joy that I connected with, in my own way, with the spirit of Yom Kippur yesterday. And in addition to watching a service that I found meaningful, I just got quiet inside enough that I was able to reach out to a couple people that one person I have been estranged from, and actually two another one that I haven't been, that I have dropped the ball with. So it felt really good to do that, and I believe that Yom Kippur it wasn't coming from a place of heaviness, it was more like opening a space in my heart and saying, okay, I think it was part of what you were saying, Jim, about worrying about, we can get stopped by worrying about whether they'll be receptive, and I think I was able to get past worrying about that and just go. And the person I've been estranged from answered the phone and basically was like, I can't talk right now, but I love you, and does this mean you want to be friends again? And I'm like, I just called to say hi. But anyway, it was a good start. Thank you.
So Rob, I think we can get Gary through here.
Great. Do you need this mic, Matt?
No, just tell him.
Gary, we'd love to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Hallelujah. So I'm actually driving. That was all. Anything in the chat was typed by my friend Ariel, who's riding with me. I'm on my way to a memorial celebration for a longtime musical friend from early music days in the Boston area. We're both part of that community. So that's both a joy and a sadness. And tomorrow, Christy and I be headed to Worcester to visit again, possibly for the last time, a good friend who is in hospice. And is declining, and we been trying to take every opportunity we can to visit with her. Last time we spent like 3 hours singing to her and with her. So thank you.
Bless you, brother, and lots of love to Christy. Anyone else like to share? Would Tamala or Kamala like to share anything? Okay. So with that, we thank all of you, and we want to just light one last candle in keeping with what Jim's sermon talked about, that sometimes when we really go deep, it turns out to be a very big reservoir of relationships and connections and thoughts and feelings that we can tap into. And there are many that I'm sure are here in this room that have not been expressed, but they are here, and we are here for you.
I would like to just light a candle for our unexpected visitor and hope that they got what they needed and that answers will come to them and that the rest of their day and their life will be with grace and ease.
And thank all of you for your understanding and just sort of silent support during that unexpected moment. It's great when sort of as a team we bring our better angels to situations. Who says there aren't angels in Unitarian Universalist churches? All right. I think we have come to one of the most exciting moments of the whole service. Talk about unexpected delights. After all the wonderful work Matt does technically to make all the Zoom and other stuff happens, it turns out he is also our special musical guest in an instrument I'm pretty sure he virtually has never played. But please come up now, Matt.
So at the end of the Yom Kippur service, and before the blowing of the shofar, we chant the words, Adonai hu ha'Elohim, the Lord is God. And we start it very softly. We chant it 7 times, and each time we get louder and louder and louder, and then we call for the blowing of the shofar. Are we ready? Adonai hu ha'Elohim, Adonai hu ha'Elohim, Adonai hu Elohim, Adonai hu Elohim, Adonai hu Elohim, Adonai hu Elohim, Adonai hu Elohim. Tekiah Gedolah. Next year, may a new world dawn for all humanity. And let us say together, Amen. Amen.
Can't tell you how many places I looked for someone who could blow the shofar. I was ready to bag it and just try to find some little YouTube sampling of the shofar and pretend to lip sync. I don't think it's ever been done, lip syncing of the shofar, but this was a hell of a lot better, a heaven of a lot better. So, is there a postlude that you have, Jim? If not, it's okay, but so for my closing remarks, I'd like to simply say thanks. So many people today made this happen. To our 4 readers, to our triple, maybe quadruple duty. Tamala made, I think, some coffee, brought a little snack. lit the chalice, lit the candles. If you need anything else done, just look for Tamla. Look for Tamla. And speaking of refreshments, we do have a little bit. We welcome you to stay and enjoy some. And if there is a pertinent announcement, an announcement that's timely and needs to be said, we'll take a moment if anyone has one. All right, talk about a Yom Kippur miracle. An entire congregation without announcements. Oh, here we go. No, it's good. Molly always shares something important.
Tentatively, we were supposed to have a social justice committee meeting today, but by the number of people here, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but check in with me maybe in another 20 minutes. Ellen was supposed to come in to join us anyway, so it's nice to see everybody here who was able to make it.
Yeah, so if you can stick around, or if you're just curious to see what the Social Justice Committee does, you're in the right place. Other than that, class congregation adjourned.
Hi, Carlin.
Hey, you're on your way to Boston.
We could hear you.
Do you two know each other? Ariel?
Yeah, we do. We don't know each other probably as well as you two know each other.
We've got
Okay.
Ariel is
Hi,
here
Ariel.
riding with me.
I'm wearing my chest.
And they turned off, because
Yeah.
I was driving, they turned off the video.
And that's why you weren't heard? Why your mic wasn't heard?
No,
Why you couldn't
Oh, you're saying,
that's why you can't see me.
oh, you're saying right now. I see. I see. And is Matt gone or is Matt still with us? I guess he must
Who?
be. I
Yeah.
thought Matt was the guy running the Zoom.
No, I have no idea. I have no idea who's doing it.
Anyway, hi Matt, and thank you if you're there.
I think they're not monitoring.
So
It's just you and me.
I was considering announcing, since it was quite a small group, but I didn't catch it in time, that we're finally decluttered enough to offer a yard sale that we're doing in support of Stone Soup Cafe. And we want to get the word out. And so we're telling you in Ariel. And it was going to be today, but it got kind of rained out. The weather turned on against us.
So when is it?
Well, the next weekend looks great. Friday, Saturday, Sunday all look really good.
Okay.
And in the low 60s, and even one of the days is supposed to be 70.
So
So
what? Send it to Kate, and she can put it in the newsletter that goes out.
yeah.
That's a legitimate. I mean, that's a totally legitimate thing.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, legitimate for the newsletter. Of course, it's legitimate.
We try to be legitimate. And it's part of us would love to, invite others to bring things to be part of the tag sale. And, especially since it's for Stone Soup.
Yeah.
Tom's looking at me a little funny because,
Table spaces.
right. Well, yeah, right. You might have to bring your own table, but there's room in our driveway. Depending on what you're bringing. But so I'm not sure I'm how much I can get involved in organizing that, but that's what my heart would like to do, is invite others
All right.
to do this. So I'm kind of trying it out on you two as creative thinkers and potential collaborators.
Yeah, our neighborhood had a neighborhood tag sale, and I had boxes of stuff. I never got it together, and I can tell you, it's not going to happen this week.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, I have so much that I wish was ready to be put out, that, you just don't hand things over filthy with talk about mouse droppings and you clean it first.
Yeah, I get the gist, although I think maybe Ariel, you're further from the mic than Gary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm saying I have so much that I want to either really sell, quote unquote, for some value or tag sale or give away, but it's a matter of getting the time and personnel to clean it.
Yeah.
It's just not appropriate in my feeling to, even give stuff away when it's covered with cobwebs and mouse droppings and sawdust and
Yes.
laundry dust in the basement.
Oh yeah, we've been decluttering and cleaning stuff for
Yay.
months. For months.
Yay.
So this is the culmination. And we'll probably have to have, actually, I said culmination, that sounds final. There'll be probably quite a few tag sales. Like we might be able to do this again in the spring or the summer if you guys get ready to do it. Because Stone Soup Cafe is probably going to need support for a long time.
Oh yeah, indefinitely.
So
Leslie,
it's
congratulations on getting this major wave of this stuff done. It's so amazing when you do.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yeah.
You get it. That's one reason,
Totally.
Ariel, you haven't seen us at the Bernerston UU or at All Souls. We've just had to,
Oh,
we've had to finally stay home. For 30 years, I've been hoarding stuff. I've used that word a little bit, not exactly clinically, but I've been keeping all the beautiful things that loved ones have given me. I'm not even much of I'm not even much of a consumer. I almost buy nothing, but I have all this stuff. So it's been painful to, go through things. Is that part of what your larder is full of? Are things that are
my big problem is things that I acquired often curbside, often Kirby's, but through and other means too, in hopes that have been dashed, hopes that I would be able to afford and have the energy to be in a different house with more space for me. And I
Right.
can see I'm 72 and the chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia are getting worse.
Oh,
Debilitating, not better.
Hmm.
And I just have to go, wow, all this stuff I've been keeping, I'm never going to have a place to use it.
Right.
And then there's also a category of that stuff that needs some fixing, which even if I were healthier, I might never have got to. And so that
Yeah.
needs to go to someone who will fix it and use it. Yeah, those are the two big categories.
Wow. I can certainly hear that there's some potential mourning or grieving going on.
Yeah, that's ongoing for me. Thanks for
Yeah.
recognizing that.
For me, it's really more about time and organizing.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
just got boxes of stuff ready to go. That I don't want or need. And
Right.
I put every year, I put out, if we have a dry spell, like around this time of year, I put it out across the street and let people pick through it. I post sometimes on Recycle and Buy Nothing.
Yes.
Uh, but again, that all takes time, and I just don't get
Right.
around to it. But
Definitely.
I can't. So I'm. But the challenge for me, I don't know if I want to call it a challenge.
Hmm.
The thing for me is that I'm philosophically opposed to throwing things in the trash.
Me too.
We are too.
Yes.
We are too.
That can possibly be used. So I have 3 boxes of plastic dishes, cups, and utensils that I collect from other gatherings,
Yeah.
bring home, wash, and store to give away.
Right.
And I bring them to gatherings, and I take them, I put out a box, and I collect them and I bring them home and wash them and store them.
Yeah.
That's just an example. And
This
Yeah,
solidarity.
That's
This
familiar.
Yes.
I can't get, I just,
we're all
because
kindred
what-
spirits. We're all kindred spirits. Gary, when I first met you, way back at Dan Brown's house or even before that, I remember we commiserated over this because we too walk out of events with our plastic cutlery and wash it and put
and
it.
I've got,
do that too.
Yes.
I have,
So comforting
I
to
ha-
me.
I have with me, we're going to the celebration. I have with me a bag with a plate, a bowl, a cup, and utensils.
And I
Fabulous.
have a couple of containers and utensils too with me in mine.
Yes, so,
It's so comforting that there are other people who really don't think the earth should have to chew up our junky trash.
Right, right. Especially plastic. Listen,
So
this-
Plastic is the worst.
here's an
I
idea.
Go ahead.
Because I don't know if I'm going to lose you. I don't know if you're on Route 2 or whatever, but we could lose each other. You know that phrase, trash nothing, of course,
Yeah.
where we sometimes post things. Well, what if we had a trash nothing yard sale in support of Stone Soup, where whatever percentage we feel we can give goes to Stone Soup? Like, we're going to do 50% because we actually need to earn something ourselves, but we very much want to support Stone Soup.
Yeah.
And each vendor could give the the part that works for them. It's all on the honor system anyway, but the spirit of it I think might help publicize it, and for me it's helped motivate me when I'd really rather go to church or a potluck or a million other things.
Anything else.
Really. So just think
Yeah,
about
and if there's yeah.
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh no, and you could have, there could be a free section.
Oh
which
yeah,
which could then be promoted on Buy Nothing and Free Cycle, as long as nothing is mentioned about a tag sale or benefit or fundraiser.
yeah.
But we could just make it part of it
Yeah.
and say on those group listings, there's going to be, you can say there's a tag sale with a big free pile, that they will allow that.
Huh.
Usually. And
Oh.
just like, and that way that might draw, but again, it's, it's the time getting stuff organized
Yeah.
and then setting it up and being there, and just, I can tell you right now, it's not happening this year.
Yeah. I'm not saying for this weekend. I'm saying.
No, I know.
Great.
I mean,
But-
I've been working on this for years, and it's just, Christy and I have a official arrangement that I'm not, supposedly, am not allowed to pick anything up unless I give something away.
Oh, that's a wonderful commitment.
That's a good
And
one.
it's hard, but it's hard because, then I try to give it away. It doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to need to actually check. Well, I've got a little ways, so I got 2 minutes, but I'm going to need to actually switch to my directions and figure out exactly where I'm going.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that Trash Nothing will allow us to publicize the fact that we have a substantial section of our yard sale that is free.
Well, there is a Trash Nothing group as well.
Oh, there is?
That's what I just
Buy
said.
Nothing. He was talking Buy Nothing. I didn't know there was a Trash Nothing.
There is,
Yes.
mostly it seems to, I actually haven't been on it for a couple of years because it seemed like all it did was just collect postings from the free cycle groups, and I'm already in like 7 groups, so I didn't need another one.
And I'm not, so
They
I
just
should
do
find
it.
I should find that site because I somehow I've never figured out how to access the free site.
Oh, okay.
Maybe while we're on this drive together, you could verbally teach me, and I can
Yeah,
try it on my
You could
phone.
do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And buy
Free
nothing.
cycle? You're talking about Free Cycle, Ariel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on Free Cycle decades ago back in Somerville, but haven't managed to figure it out here.
Yeah, we could do that. We're in the car for like an hour and a half each way, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we can do that.
Great.
Well, that's great. But what you've allowed me to do is realize that's where we should be publicizing it, because those are the like-minded folks that we'd like to come,
Yeah.
who will be more likely to appreciate, is what I'm saying. We'd like everybody to come, but
Right.
but those
Good
folks would
idea.
appreciate.
And just post some pictures if you can. And we're just seeing some gorgeous foliage.
There's
along
this gorgeous swamp here.
This is a place where the herons nest here.
And the bare trees actually kind of look like birds on skinny legs.
Yeah, and they have the heron. Did you see the nest?
No.
Oh yeah, there's
Oh.
nest on the trees.
I-
On the top
Still
of the
be
tree.
life leader.
No,
Are you on the Mass Pike?
no, we're
No,
on
we're
Route 2.
I think I can picture the swampy area that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just after 495 before Acton. It's on the
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Heading
Yep.
east.
Yeah, that's
And,
great.
yeah, during heron nesting season, you can just people. There's signs posted all along it. No stopping, no stopping, but people stop.
Um, thanks for sharing that moment. It kind of tickled my imagination to think about that. Can you guys see us, even though we
Yeah.
can't see?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I
I know
want-
that when I do thumbs up these, you can't see me because the video is not on in the car, but I've done that a lot during this conversation.
And just a quick side note for Ariel. My son was born in the house that you can see
No.
through the bush, through the trees, right at the top of this ledge. There's a farmhouse, and he
Wow.
was born there.
Wow.
See it right
How
now.
cool.
Yeah, it's right at the top here. You have
Lovely.
to
That's where
kind
you
of know
lived
where
at
you're
the
looking.
time, huh?
Yeah, we lived there in Acton for like 10 years or
That was
something.
before I met you, right? You were really young.
No,
No?
that was after Quadrivium Day.
Oh.
And I
Okay,
we'd already
after Quadrivium.
we've been going to Neff for years at that point.
Okay. So I didn't realize.
Ariel and I first met in her prior incarnation, a prior incarnation, in this lifetime, at NASA, back in probably the 70s.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the 70s.
Wow.
That is a long friendship.
And then she showed up out here in some context or other. I don't even remember what. And then didn't see each other
Yeah,
for
it feels
3 years.
like we stayed continually connected, but we keep meeting again.
And then
Yeah.
she started showing up at the Montague singing.
The singing circle every day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
You know about that, right?
yes, and
yes, we,
Every day.
we want
yes,
to go
we
there.
heard.
It's just
Well, it's still happening.
Yeah, every day that ends in a Y.
No
You're there.
formal requirements. You can drop in for 5 minutes. A lot of people drop in like 5 minutes before supposedly being
nice.
banned.
Nice. And it's always at 2
Listen.
o'clock. It's always at
Yeah.
2.
Yeah,
So-
and if you ever come and no one's here at 2, just be patient. Somebody will wander in by 2:10.
Or
Oh.
yeah, or not. But feel free to start singing. There will be at least one other person there at some point.
Yes.
Wow. Sweet. It's right in the middle of the day, which just makes it harder.
know.
I know.
We only get there on weekends and special
I know.
birthdays.
Weird timing, isn't it? But we've never been able to even consider a different time. It just became what it is.
That's what it is.
Just became
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, I get it. And it's still in my calendar from early COVID days when you told me about
Thank you. I'm so glad.
it. So we will get there eventually. It would help to know when people we know are going to be there, just because, it just motivates us even more.
We're often there on the weekend. Ariel is there, I don't know, whenever she gets there.
I have times when I'm there every day for 3 or 4 days, and then I have times when I miss 2 weeks because I'm just overloaded with everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
If
it.
you
guys-
ever
Yeah.
want to check in with us on a weekend
Mhm.
and ask if we're going,
Gary
Yeah.
and Christy.
yeah, but Christy and I often go on a weekend, and if we're around,
Mhm. Mhm.
we're not always around on a weekend. We've missed like a few weeks
Yeah.
in a row, but
course.
if we're around, we do make an effort to go. So feel free to check in.
Okay.
All right, I am going
Thank-
to update where I'm going.
Great.
See you guys.
Great talking to you guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Good to see
Well-
you.
Yeah, likewise. We'll talk
Right.
again about this stone yard sale idea.
Yep. Okay,
Bye-bye now.
bye.
Take
Take
good care. I'll let you know about this weekend too.